Yo, what's going on? It's Dan McDonald here. Let's talk about some weed up in this place. Not super controversial video, but the thing is I forgot. I mean, what I'm trying to do is make shorter videos so people will actually watch them, because I'll talk about the weed for like an hour, and then I would have mentioned like the medicinal qualities of the people that are juicing the plant. That's the only real thing. Like, if people are talking about like, oh, I smoke some weed, it's good for me, man. I'm talking about, do you know that your lungs are your number one source of life? So you just aren't really tapping in. Like, if you're smoking the weed and you're like, it's good for me, you're not really looking at the basic laws of physiology. If you put carcinogens in your lungs, then you can't be releasing the toxins from your lungs that need to be released through the breathing process of the metabolic processes in your body. So that's like going to live like in a city like Guatemala City, where the buses are just blowing out black smoke, and after like the third day of being in Guatemala, I was spitting up black stuff out of my lungs. So with the weed, you can't, if you're smoking the weed, your lungs are getting hurt. And your lungs are life. That is your life. Oxygen is the number one source of food for a human organism, as well as the number one detoxification channel. So I don't really want to even have a conversation with somebody that's going to tell me that smoking marijuana is good for you. If you make some tea and you boil it, and you release the psychoactive substances that way, again, that's less harmful for sure. And I don't have anything against using drugs. Everything is a stepping stone into something greater. But my job and my purpose and my passion and my vision for myself, that's what I have to share. I'm not here to put down the weed, but I am simply here to say that there is a higher path, in the sense that you can get high without the weed. That's what I'm trying to say, because if you got the weed, yeah, it's a crutch. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's like, if you can't get to that place of ease and joy and peace without the weed, what happens on the day that you don't have the weed? Well, then you can't get the joy and the ease and the flow. So that's what I'm talking about. So, but if you could learn how to do that on your own, if you could learn how to have ease and peace, and if you could learn how to laugh on your own, that would be better, because then they could put you in a prison cell in the dark and not feed you. And if you had that skill, you could just sit there and be blissed out of your mind. And that's what I'm saying as far as being the ideal. To be so in control and the master of your life energies. That's all I'm saying, and not necessarily needing anything outside yourself to alter your state of consciousness from the external to the internal to create a shift. You can go inward and cultivate a certain type of activation of your own internal ability to be high on life. And no one can ever take that away. They can take away your weed and put you in jail and burn up your plants and steal your pipe and take away your vaporizer. You know what I mean? But nobody, nowhere, no how. Once you develop those skills of getting high on your own as an internal mechanism, no one can ever take that away from you. Now, let's address something else here about the juicing of the herb. If you don't heat the herb, you don't get the psychoactive principles. So when you juice the marijuana, which is very expensive, by the way, what are you getting? Chlorophyll, vitamins, and minerals. But the weed, and I've been around weed, I'm talking about weed, a lot of weed. But nobody wants to juice up some weed when they could dry these big ass buds and make like $500 from these big ass buds. They're not going to just juice it with you, So most people aren't going to have access to black garbage sacks full of weed. If I would have known back then what I know now, I probably would have juiced it and been a lot healthier. But I didn't even see it that way. Now I wish I could go back to the tree stumps that are full of weed and juice them up. But by the time it gets to the tree stumps, it's already been cured and it's dried. But I'm just saying, if you got the weed and you want to juice it, you're getting the vitamins, the minerals, and the chlorophyll. Okay, but see, if you're going to do that and spend all that money, why not just go outside your house and pick some dandelion greens? Because that's the chlorophyll, the vitamins, and the minerals that you need. So you don't really necessarily need to get chlorophyll, vitamins, minerals from the hemp plant, because you can get that from other different types of sources that are more readily available. So that's all that's going on there, is that people are finally getting chlorophyll. Hey, here, try this new hemp. Now I know there's a lot more science to it, and I don't know that much about it, because juicing it came after my time. My time was always about burning it up, and then I messed up my lungs, and stuff like that. And so for me, that's just my own perspective. But what I'm talking about is you can juice it too, yeah, and that's the only other redeeming quality. Now, like I said, you can make some tea and get the psychoactive principles, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you'll just be like eating a couple brownies or something, your eyes get all red and you get kind of like doughy, and it's chill out. And I'm not putting anybody down. There's nothing wrong with just chilling out with the herb, but I'm just saying, for me personally, and anyone who I would want to help out there to become an extremely bright light. You can smoke weed and love people, but I'm talking about being totally activated. So my personal view of this life at this point, which came out of, for me, it came out of like great suffering and pain and seeking for answers out of that to find joy, ease, and pleasantness. And then I read all these books, and I was like, once you hear about that you can be a fully activated human being and you can experience that flow of life energy in a real big way and be in control of it, you can't really go backwards. You just can't. At least not a person like me. You have to continue to press forward in a more natural way to activate your human potential, because that's what makes you feel fulfilled and whole, is when you are creating the possibility of activating your human potential, And to my experience with it is all that I'm saying is that weed never activated my human potential, because I would go into the studio sober, play the drums, and while I was playing the drums and making the recordings with my band, it didn't sound as good. But then we would go, at the time that we recorded it, I wasn't as into it, you know what I'm saying? But because I was in both my left and my right brain hemispheres. But then when we would smoke the weed, it was more fun to do the recordings and to do the shows. But you listen to the recordings the next day and you're like, oh man, we thought we were like Rush, Neil Peart. You thought you were Neil Peart. You thought you were so high, you thought you hit every single note just right. Yeah, man. But then you listen to the recordings the next day and you're like, oh, I was off. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened to me every time. So I'm just saying, my personal experience is that weed, although it was fun, I would smoke some weed and ride my bike all day long. Smoke some weed, play some music all night long with my boys. We'd play the same riff over and over in the chicken coop. But still, it never helped me. So I can only speak from my personal experience. It never helped me to truly activate my potential in the way that I'm doing now, with just a couple of small little raw food meals each day, a good night's rest, meditation, yoga, research, study, and then anchoring in new knowledge, as well as also exploring the unconscious. Why am I in my own way? And that's all I'm saying. So are there benefits to the hemp plant? Of course, man. Hemp rope, hemp food, hemp seeds are one of my favorite foods on planet Earth. One of the best foods that you can have. And fuel and all the other awesome things. But the medicinal qualities is like, you don't have to go super far out of your way to juice up some herb. You can definitely just juice up some other green plants. And I know there's more. So I know there's going to be people that say, you're ignorant, Dan, you don't know that much. I'm going to say, you're right. I never really studied that much about the plant. But since you're not activating the psychoactive principles which create the munchies and create the mellow, then you're really just, it's passing through the body, any of the psychoactive principles for the most part, because it's fat soluble and needs to be heated in order to activate the at least the potential to a very high degree. If you're going to chew on some weed or juice it, that's cool. You're getting chlorophyll, vitamins, and minerals, but there's other ways to do that. That's all I'm saying. So if people are sick, then they can just check out the DVDs or check out the videos here, make some green juices. Because I just had a lemon ginger blast with a big old scoop of enzymes, and that's the ultimate way right there. Because those enzymes light up your brain, man. Because they digest everything, and that makes the blood so clean. And when you do the lemon ginger blast, you got the kale and you got everything, and you got the chlorophyll, and that purifies, cleanses, regenerates everything. It keeps your body clean and fresh. I wish I could transmit the human health that I have in my body. Now it's time to master the heart and mind. So that's my another little expose there on the little weed thing. There's always more to the story than could be shared in one little three-dimensional YouTube video. But I want the people to know that are talking about juicing the weed or smoking it. It's cool, man. Everybody live your life. But my job is to be an example of human activation at the highest levels. And I just don't see where smoking the weed comes into that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't have anything against it. I don't have anything against ice cream. I don't have anything against cocaine. I don't have anything against anything. I don't have anything against eating animals. And that puts everyone up in arms. What? You're not going to go and have a parade about people eating animals? No, I'm not. I'm not going to be concerned with what anyone does, ever. There's only one person who I'm concerned with. And there's only one person that I know that I have the control and the power to change the entire universe. And that's right here. Because the more I raise up, the more I raise up all the other ships on the ocean of consciousness. So the more that you allow the true depth of the deepest levels of divinity to blossom within you, then you're just lifting up everybody else and you never have to say one single word. Can you dig it? That's all I'm saying. So let's keep the dialogue open. Put your comments down below and we'll keep it going. And I'll share more about what my thoughts are on this thing. And just, just let's have a dialogue. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I just want to have fun making videos. Can you dig it, baby? Ha 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 ha. DTM. Check it out. Peace in the Middle East. That ain't gonna happen.